please welcome the winner of the 2022 Speaker Contest, Duncan Wardle.
By a show of hands, who here would consider themselves to be a creative person? Just don't let me see it. Okay, so we're going to do it differently. Stand up, get in a group of 2 people and decide who's going to be person A and who's going to be person B. Up you get. All right, person A, I'm going to give you your chosen career. You have worked in this occupation for the last 25 years. Therefore, you're the world's leading guru on this particular topic. Person B, you're going to play the role of a news reporter and just interview person A about how they get their job done. For the next 60 seconds, person A, you are the world's leading designer of parachutes for elephants. Person B will now interview you about that job. Off you go. Let me have you back. Stay standing. Stay standing. Person B, we've saved the best till last. Person B, for the last 25 years, you have served the world as the world's leading authority as a sex therapist for honeybees. Person A will now interview you about your job. Off you go. All right, take a seat. Take a seat. You know, it always amazes me when you walk into a room full of adults and ask people to put their hands up if they think they're creative, how few people will put their hand up. But if you've listened to the bullshit that you came up with in the last minute and a half, I would argue you're far more creative than you gave yourselves permission to be. I know this will come as a total shock to some of the people in the room, but you were born a child. And you were given a gift for your birthday, and it came in a huge box. And it took you ages to take that toy out of the box. What did you spend the rest of the week playing with? The box. It was your fort, it was your castle, it was your rocket ship. It was anything you wanted it to be until you went to the #1 killer of creativity, education. And the first thing you were told to color in between the lines. Just before you were told to stop asking why, because there's only one right answer. Creativity and curiosity, 2 of the most employable skill sets of the next decade, because they'll be the hardest to program into artificial intelligence. And yet we drum them out of ourselves by the time we leave school. I did an experiment at a university recently where I had 3,000 students in the room. And I brought in one first grade class of 6-year-olds. And I asked them who was creative. 30 little 6-year-olds, me, 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 me. Not one university student put their hand up. So then we grow up and we become adults. And the more experience, the more expertise we have, the wider, the deeper, and the faster is our river of thinking on the industry in which you work, allowing you and me to make quick and informed decisions. But in a post-pandemic world, we're being asked to get out of our river of thinking faster and faster because of the level of disruption that's coming. Nobody is going back to business as usual. We're all going back to business as unusual. So my goal in the next few minutes is to give you 2 or 3 tools to stop you thinking like this and give you permission to think like that. Now, if there's any bosses in the room who have their direct reports with them, close your eyes. Everybody else who likes to break the rules when the boss isn't looking, put your hand up. Come on, I know you're out there. So what if there was a tool? I keep hearing people say, but we work in a very heavily regulated industry. That won't work here. What if there was a tool that metaphorically allowed you to break the rules? It was created by Walt Disney for the film Fantasia in 1940. He wanted it to mist inside the theater. He wanted heat pumped in. And the theater owner said, no, Walt, that's too expensive. That's not the way we do it here. We tried that last year. So Walt simply observed the rules of going to a movie theater. I must sit down. I must be quiet. It is dark. I can only watch one movie at a time. I have to pay to get in, and I, Walt, can't control the environment. Step 1, list the rules of the challenge you are currently working on without thinking about them. If you start thinking about them, you'll think of all the reasons you can't break them. And then pick one and ask the most audacious what-if question. Walt took the environment in 1940 and he said, what if I could control the environment? Well, he couldn't. He didn't own the movie theaters, and that's not provocative enough. The more provocative, the more audacious your what-if statement, the further out of your river of thinking you'll get. So he said, well, wait a minute. If I can't control the environment, what if I take my movies out of the theater? Well, don't be daft, Walt. They're two-dimensional. They'll fall over. What if I made them three-dimensional? Well, how are you going to do that, Walt? Well, you know what? I could just have people dressed in costume walking around pretending to be cowboys and pirates. Yeah, but you can't have Cinderella standing next to Jack Sparrow, Walt. People wouldn't be immersed in her story. What if I just put them all in a different themed land? Oh, wait a minute. What if I called it Disneyland? Who used to go to a video rental store? Who was fed up of paying late fees? Who did anything about it? Not us. That's why we're still here. The founder of Netflix used the same tool as Walt. He went into a Blockbuster video, sat down, and observed the rules. I must drive to a physical store. I must go during opening hours. They have a very limited stock. I can only get out 3 at a time. I must return and rewind the video. And if I take it back late, I must pay a late fee. List the rules of your industry. Don't think about it. Pick one. In 2005, he said, what if there was no physical store? Stupid idea, right? Well, not really. YouTube was already 9 months old, streaming amateur content. So he said, what if I just do a deal with the movie studios and I'll stream professional content? Nobody would have to drive to a store. I'll be open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I'll have an unlimited stock. Everybody will get the one they want. They won't have to return it or rewind it. I'm going to cut the fee off at 24 hours. I'll call it Netflix. I'll take my idea to Blockbuster 5 times. They'll turn me down 5 times. I'll take them out of business in less than 5 years. Now, it's easy for you to sit there and say, well, we're not Disney or Netflix. This tool works for everybody. There was a very small company in Great Britain that used to make glasses that we drink out of, and they found too much breakage and not enough production. So they went down to the shop floor and observed the rules. 26 employees, cardboard boxes, 6 glasses on the top, 6 on the bottom, separated by corrugated cardboard, glasses wrapped individually in newspaper, employees reading the newspaper. So somebody asked a relatively provocative what-if question, what if we poke their eyes out? Well, that's against the law, and it's not very nice. But because they had the courage to ask the most audacious what-if statement of all, the lady sitting next to him said, well, wait a minute, why wouldn't we just hire blind people? So they did. Production up 26%, breakage down 40%, and the British government gave them a 50% salary subsidy for hiring people with disabilities. You should be asking that question today when you're at the top of your game. Why? Since 2005, we've seen Ebola, bird flu, H1N1, SARS, and COVID. And by the way, if you saw the news today, Ebola's back in Africa. You don't think there's going to be another pandemic from 3 years from now? You're nuts. Of course there is. Is it regional or global? I don't know. But in 2016, 6 of us sat in a room and said, what if one of these went global? What if we had to close our theme parks, dock our ships, and nobody could go to a movie theater for 2 years? Could you take a 75% hit on your revenue for 24 months? So we just turned the question around and said, what if we went to the consumer? Now, which of you lovely people has Disney Plus at home today? Love you, thank you. That's about 30% of the people here. Now multiply that by the rest of the planet. Disney can only be in 7 countries and theme parks, but we can be in every country, simply because we reversed the question and said, what if? The second tool at your disposal is the naive expert. You're going to need your pen and piece of paper for this. You're going to draw. I know it's been a while, but that's okay. We were designing a new retail, dining, and entertainment complex for the Hong Kong Disney Resort. In the room, we had 12 white male American architects, otherwise known as Disney Imagineering. So I invited in a naive expert. Who or what is a naive expert, and why should you invite them into every session you run? A naive expert is there because they don't work for you. What does that give them permission to do? They can't solve the challenge for you. That is an unrealistic objective. But they can ask the silly question that you're too embarrassed to ask in front of your peers. They can throw out the audacious idea ungoverned by your constraints. They will say or do something to stop you thinking in your river of thinking and give you permission to think differently. I'm going to give you a challenge now. I'm going to name an object. You're going to draw it. You only have 7 seconds. No cheating now. No looking over people's shoulders. Please, would you draw a house? 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pens down. Share your genius with your neighbor, please. Hands up who drew 1 door. 2 windows. Hands up who's so insecure they still left bars over their windows. What shape's the roof? Triangle. Of course it is. Why? Because all of your river of thinking tells you that's what a house should look like. And all of the architects drew exactly what you did, except one person in the room, the young female Chinese chef, who I chose as my naive expert because she wasn't an architect. She drew dim sum architecture. Why wouldn't she? She's a young female Chinese chef. Never occurred to her to draw the house the same way that you and I would. On the way out the door, a Disney Imagineer put a post-it note over her work that simply said, distinctly Disney, authentically Chinese. 7 years later, the strategic brand positioning that guided the entire design of the Shanghai Disney Resort, distinctly Disney, authentically Chinese. The next point is not design thinking. The next point is not innovation. The next point is common sense, but companies don't seem to have any. Diversity is innovation. If somebody doesn't look like you, they don't think like you. And if they don't think like you, they can help you think differently. So look around your organization, look around your boardroom, look around your leadership team and ask yourselves, do we all look the same? When we have leadership meetings, what do? We only invite in the leaders. Why not invite in some sharp 25-year-old to help challenge you on everything you think about? Who's closer to the future? Who knows what meta is? It's the young, sharp 25-year-old. The third tool at your hands is how else? How by simply re-expressing a challenge can I stop you jumping into your river of thinking? Also created by Walt Disney for the park Disneyland. When he opened the doors on July 17th, 1955 at 9:01 a.m., he said, we will not have any customers in our park. We will only have guests. Now, you know how you feel when you're treated as a customer, but you know how you feel when you're treated as a guest. It's a remarkably different experience. Not only that, we will not have any employees. We will only have cast members. They'll be cast for a role in the show. With that simple re-expression of the relationship between the employee and the customer as the cast member and the guest, Walt had created a level of hospitality that's rarely been repeated since. Now, if I were coming to Helsinki and you and I are going to go into business together and we are going to open a car wash, tell me the essential ingredients I must put in my car wash. Soap. What else? Water. Cars, good one. Wax, rags. I said car wash. The first 2 words you thought of were water and soap. You went straight into your river of thinking. Now, if we were to open an auto spa, what could we put in a spa? Masseuse, barista, cucumber water. It's the same product. All I did was re-express the challenge. In 2011, if we'd asked how might we make more money, we'd have put the gate price up at Walt Disney World by 3% and met our quarterly results. If you know the answer, you're iterating. If it scares you, you're innovating. Instead of saying, how might we make more money, we said, how might we solve the biggest consumer pain point? Everybody knew what it was. It was called standing in line. So we went out and identified where the longest lines were, and we looked for a company, looked outside of our industry for insights for innovation, and found a very small company in Tokyo, Japan, using RFID technology to enable people not to stand in line. All we did was create Disney's Magic Band. It's a small plastic band. It sits on your wrist. It is your room key to your hotel room. It is your theme park ticket. It has your reservations for your favorite character meet and greet and your favorite rides. I can pay for merchandise with it. Touch it once, I'll go to my hotel room. Twice, it'll go to my house. There are security features in place to stop children from touching everything in the park. I want my food with my pickles on the side. I hit save on my smartphone. I walk into the restaurant when I want to walk in. I sit at the table I want to sit at and the food comes fresh to me. Had we started by saying, how might we make more money, we'd have made 3%. But by reversing it from the consumer's point of view, the average guest at Walt Disney World today has 2 hours free time a day they didn't have 4 years ago. What has that resulted in? Record intent to return, record intent to recommend. And what is it you lovely people do with your free time in Disney theme parks? Spend money. 2 hours a day times 25 million people a year times 365 hours. Not only that, but you are now live crowdsourcing the future of every product and service Disney creates by telling them every second of every day what you like and what you don't like. I'm going to close up on freshness and bravery. What is the importance of freshness in our lives? Hands up who goes to their favorite restaurant once a week, once a month. You look at the menu, you read it, or you listen to the specials. You're not listening, are you? And then you order the same thing you order every single time. Come on. Be honest. I know you do. Hands up who gets in and sleeps on the same side of the bed every night. Come on. Even when we're staying in a hotel room by ourselves. Have you ever commuted home and you get home, you look at your front door and there's just that split second where you're like, how did I get here? I hope you weren't driving. On the way home, you went past the same stimulus day in, day out, day in, day out, day in, day out. No fresh stimulus in, no new ideas out. Think about how you might get fresh stimulus into your lives. Now I'm going to close up on bravery. In order to demonstrate bravery, I'm a great believer in doing, not listening. And so I am going to put on my favorite piece of music, Don't Go Breaking My Heart, Elton John and Kiki Dee, 1973. And in just a moment, I'm going to invite somebody up onto the stage to sing with me. You could be Elton or Kiki. We've got the words up on the screen. Wasn't convinced I'd get a volunteer. And so can we turn the house lights up for just a second, please? Because I got in here during the break and I ran around the room, and no, you may not look until the count of 3 because I can see every single person in this room. But underneath one of your chairs is a simple post-it note that says, it's you. And so on the count of 3 and not before, I'll ask you to look under your chair. If you get that post-it note, just come on up, we'll have a bit of fun, okay? 1, 2, 3. All right, relax, people. I would not do that to you at the... Oh, the look on your faces. Now, why did he do that? That was evil. To prove a point. If I were to ask you to name the most famous, bravest animal in the jungle, you would tell me it's the lion. I would argue for the humble butterfly. The very large butterfly that just consumed your stomach in a complete and utter sense of total panic. Where just for that split second, you're like, shit, it could be me. You don't have to feel like that every day. You don't have to feel like it every month, but it's a good sign. It's a sign to you and you alone that you are doing something different and innovating. And I'll finish with you on this one last thought. The opposite of bravery is not cowardice, it's conformity. Thank you very much indeed.